Alexander the Great stormed Persia and Egypt, but few recall the silent revolution that followed in his wake. Greek soldiers turned monks, exploring the Dharma under foreign skies. How did Hellenistic warriors become seekers of no self? What secret teachings did they guard in the monasteries of Gandhāran? I'm Silent Flame. In this 8-part odyssey, we'll unearth the hidden legacy of the lost Greek Buddhists, warriors who swapped swords for sutras, forging a bridge between two worlds. After the fall of the Achaemenid Empire, Alexander's campaigns pushed Greek culture deep into Central Asia. But when the drumbeats of war faded, some soldiers stayed, drawn by the open-air shrines and ascetic sangha. The fateful conquest. In 327 BCE, Alexander crossed the Hindu Kush into the Indus Valley, humbled by monsoon rains and mystified by sadhus with ash-painted bodies. Tales speak of battles paused so Greek troops could witness yogic fire rituals, marveling at men who walked across coals unburned. Conversion of the veterans. Archaeological finds at Taxila and Takht Ibahi reveal Greek-style pottery and coins alongside Buddhist stupas, signs of a cultural fusion. Inscriptions in Kharoshthi mention Yona, Greek, monks living by the Dharma, chanting in a tongue that blended Pali meter with Ionic rhythm. The first Hellenic Sangha, led by an enigmatic figure known only as Dhammaraksita, protector of the Dharma. These Yona bhikkhus established monasteries where Greek and local ascetics studied side by side. Their rules combined the Vinaya's precepts with a Spartan austerity, communal meals at sunrise, barefoot alms rounds, shared silence at dusk. Imagine a phalanx of warriors, helmets exchanged for shaved heads, standing in meditation where once they stood in shield walls. This was the dawn of Greco-Buddhism. In the borderlands of Gandhāran, stone carvers dared to blend Hellenistic realism with the Buddha's timeless serenity, crafting images that still whisper of cultures in dialogue. The first bodhisattva with a Greek profile. Imagine a statue. Chiseled curls cascade like Apollo's locks, yet the expression is soft with compassion, eyes half closed in meditative calm. This fusion first emerged around the 2nd century CE. The gentle contrapposto stance, weight shifted on one leg, echoes Praxiteles, while the draped monastic robe falls in organic folds, guiding the viewer's gaze to the urna between the brow. Stupa gateways, triumphal arches to awakening Tiranas carved with Corinthian columns and vine scrolls frame Jataka tales. Each panel a relief of the Buddha's former lives, bordered by acanthus leaves and winged victories. Pilgrims pass beneath these arches as if entering a Hellenic agora of blessing, step by step retracing the Dharma's march westward. Mixed iconography, Zeus and Vairakana. In some caves, a thunderbolt-wielding figure stands beside a haloed Buddha, Zeus's power emblem paired with the halo of Vairakana, symbolizing universal sovereignty. Local donors may have commissioned such hybrids to honor both their Greek patrimony and their adopted faith, invoking celestial protectors on both sides. Narrative friezes, from marathon to monastery. Carved friezes depict Greek hoplites converting at the feet of monks, shields abandoned, spears laid down, joined by robed novices. These scenes, though rare, suggest a living memory. Warriors who witnessed the Dharma's victory over inner conflict more enduring than any battlefield triumph. When marble myths met Buddha's parables, stone itself became a teacher. Each statue a silent sermon on the unity that lies beyond origin and form. Amid the melting pot of Hellenistic and Indian worlds, the Great Council of Taxila convened, where Greek and Indian monks codified a hybrid Vinaya, forging the Dharma's first Western chapter. Setting the stage, in the bustling city of Taxila, crossroads of Silk Road caravans, monks gathered beneath colonnaded verandas adorned with Greek cornices and lotus capitals. Representatives included Yona bhikkhus in simple robes and Indian Sutavadins clad in saffron, each bringing distinct customs and disciplinary nuances. Debates on austerity and ritual, Spartan simplicity versus Brahmin ceremony. Greek veterans prize minimalism, one meal at sunrise, barefoot vows, while Indian monks honor daily puja, no offerings, to local deities. Through spirited but respectful dialogue, the assembly agreed, let solemn respect guide ritual, let freedom guide austerity. Thus, alms rounds remained at dawn, puja was retained but simplified, and occasional offerings were permitted as long as they supported communal harmony. Drafting the Yona Vinaya, the council produced the Yona Vinaya, a set of disciplinary rules blending the Pali Vinaya's precepts with addenda acknowledging Greek sensibilities. Meal timing, one main meal before noon, with light refreshments allowed after sunset only in emergencies. Dress code, robes cut in Ionic drapery style but dyed in ochre to signify renunciation. Chanting practices. Suttas could be recited in Greek meter alongside Pali melodies, preserving both linguistic heritage and doctrinal consistency. Enduring legacy inscriptions carved on sandstone pillars commemorated the council, ending with the mantra, "May the Dharma wheel roll westward, bearing no self into every land." These statutes endured for centuries in Gandhāran, guiding monasteries until the influx of later invaders. But their spirit of unity lived on in the art, the rituals, and the shared silence of the sangha. The Council of Taxila stands as proof that when hearts seek liberation above labels, the Dharma wheel spins unimpeded, uniting East and West in one sacred revolution. In the centuries after Taxila, Gandhāran became a hub of Buddhist scholarship, its monasteries doubling as schools where Greek and Indian minds met over sutras and scholastic debate. Nalanda's Greek aula, though Nalanda proper lay further east. Campus traditions record a special lecture hall called the Euclidean Hall, where Yona scholars mapped logic onto Abhidharma categories. Greek-trained grammarians debated Pali ontology, using Aristotelian syllogisms to probe dependent origination and the five aggregates. Commentaries in two tongues. Stone manuscripts reveal bilingual glosses. One column in Pali, the adjacent in Ionic Greek script, explaining rupa as form, eidos, and vedana as feeling, pathos. This dual commentary tradition enriched Mahayana developments. Early Prajnaparamita treatises cite these Greek-inflected explanations in their margin notes. Library of the West Buddha lineage pilgrims spoke of a vast repository at Jandial in Taxila. Scrolls of Dhammapada, verses in Greek uncials, commentaries on the Lotus Sutra with Hellenistic philosophical parallels. Though many texts perished in later conquests, travelers like Chinese monk Xuanzang noted echoes of Greek rhetoric in Sanskrit recensions. Legacy of syncretic academia, Gandhāran scholarship laid groundwork for later Mahayana logic schools. Nagarjuna's Malamadhyamakakarika draws on dialectical techniques resembling those of Greek skeptics. The scholastic fusion in Gandhāran thus became a crucible where Buddhist emptiness theory was tempered by Hellenistic reasoning. In those vaulted halls, the Buddha's teachings were refracted through Greek reason, each question forging a sharper edge for the razor of insight. Among the most celebrated dialogues stands the meeting of Greek monk Dionysios and Indian sage Nagasena in Savatthi, a contest of wit that became a model for koan-style inquiry. The challenge of names Dionysios posed: "Master, what is the name of the Buddha?" expecting an honorific. Nagasena replied, "No name at all." When pressed, he explained, "Any label you attach is a fiction. The Buddha is the ever-changing flow of dharmas, not a fixed identity." The ship analogy revisited. Drawing on Heraclitus, Dionysios spoke of flux. "You cannot step in the same river twice." Nagasena countered, "And the bodhisattva never steps in the same self twice." Their exchange sparked a ripple effect. Local monks began framing koans as logical paradoxes, blending Greek dialectic with Indian spontaneity. From debate to practice. The assembly recorded these dialogues in stone steles around Jetavana, inscribing them as teaching aids. Pilgrims would meditate on what is no self under the ancient shade. This format inspired later Chinese koan collections, where a question from a foreign monk would serve as the catalyst for breakthrough, the ongoing resonance. Even today, some Zen lineages trace select koans back to these Gandhāran debates, evidence that Western inquiry shaped the living form of Buddhist practice. When East and West meet as questioner and responder, they forge a third path, one that transcends both conceptual poles. In Gandhāra, it wasn't only monastics who bridged East and West. Wealthy Yona merchants and retired officers poured resources into stupas and viharas, leaving inscriptions that read like love letters to a foreign faith. Inscribed dedications. At Jaulian and Moramoradu, stone slabs bear Greek epigrams. "By the gift of Demetrius, may all beings find peace under this dome." These donors, signed in Ionic capitals, yet spoke of punya, merit, and sangha as if native to their Hellenic ethos. Funding monastic colleges, wealthy families endowed pata-pata-shala, recitation halls, where Greek bhikkhus taught Pali alongside Greek grammar, ensuring both lineages thrived. One inscription: "Here lies the seat of learning, where sword and scepter are laid down for the sake of inner kingship." Stupas as cultural conduits. Elaborate stupas, Ika temples crowned with Vedika railings, were financed by Yona benefactors who saw in the Buddha's relics a universal symbol of liberation. Pilgrims from across Central Asia, Persia, and Greece made circuit by stupa, offering coins bearing Alexander's portrait alongside Buddhist votive tokens. The merit of cross-cultural giving. The act of patronage itself became a koan for those patrons. Giving wealth to a foreign religion challenged their own notions of identity and devotion. Their generosity ensured that Gandhāran art, architecture, and scholarship flourished, creating a Buddhist heritage that still echoes in museum halls today. When Greek merchants set down their amphorae and lifted bricks for a stupa, they became architects of a dharma that knew no borders. In the libraries of Gandhāra, a feverish work unfolded. Monks and patrons collaborating to render Buddhist scriptures, not only into local scripts, but even into Greek, creating a tapestry of texts that spoke to East and West alike. Kharoshthi scribes at work, monastic scribes in Taxila and Peshawar sat by oil lamps, painstakingly copying Gandhara versions of the Mahaprajna Paramita and Jataka tales into Kharoshthi. Marginal notes in Greek script appear in several codices, indicating bilingual monks who toggled between Pali Meta and Ionic phrasing. Greek renditions of the Dhammapada, Several fragments unearthed at Amaravati suggest a partial Dhammapada in Koine Greek, where verses on impermanence, anicca, were titled Ta Panta Metatinos Phaenetai, all things appear and pass. The poetic metre was adapted to Greek hexameter, blending Buddhist didactic style with Homeric cadence, an astonishing literary fusion. Patronage and pilgrims. Wealthy Yona donors funded translation workshops, endowing libraries that attracted pilgrims from as far as Antioch and Alexandria. Accounts tell of Greek philosophers, descendants of the Peripatetics, debating Abhidharma categories in these halls, sometimes challenging the notion of Dharma as law versus phenomenon. Scriptural cross-pollination. Some texts integrated Hellenistic ethical treatises. Quotes from Stoic philosophers appear alongside the Buddha's teachings on equanimity. This cross-pollination influenced later Tibetan commentaries, which sometimes quote protrepticus-like passages, urging the mind toward dispassion. In those scriptoria, the Buddha's words flowed through Greek quills, each stroke inscribing a bridge between desert philosophers and forest monks. As empires rose and fell, first the Kushans, then the White Huns, the once vibrant Yona Sangha waned, yet its echoes survive in cave murals and crumbling niches high above the Silk Road. Imperial shifts under the Kushans. Emperor Kanishka's patronage initially boosted Greco-Buddhism, but later rulers favoured Sanskrit scholarship in Mathura, sidelining Kharoshthi centres. Monasteries faced dwindling support. Yona donors migrated west or assimilated, leaving clay seals on abandoned viharas. Destruction by the White Huns. In the 5th century CE, invasions by the Hephthalites ravaged Gandhāra. Stupas were razed, libraries burned, and many Greek-descended monks fled to Kashmir or Central Asia. The Yona Vinaya fell into disuse. Monastic codes reverted to regional norms, severing the explicit Hellenic link. Surviving murals in Bamiyan and Ajanta High in the Bamiyan cliffs. Faded frescoes depict haloed Buddhas with Hellenistic drapery, the only surviving testament to a once thriving fusion. In Ajanta, some cave paintings retain Greek-style vine motifs, framing Jataka scenes, silent reminders of a multicultural past, legacy along the Silk Road, later Buddhist travellers. Chinese pilgrims like Faxian and Xuanzang mention Western monks teaching foreign grammar, hinting at distant memories of Yona lineages. Even Islamic geographers spoke of ancient stupas built by the Greeks, preserving the legend into the medieval era. Though the councils dispersed and the scripts faded, the spirit of Greco-Buddhism endures. In every carved alcove and every whispered fragment along the Silk Road. As the sands of Gandhāra shifted under new rulers, Yona bhikkhus sought refuge in the hidden valleys of Kashmir and the oases of Central Asia. There, they carried the Dharma's torch into fresh worlds. Kashmir's secret sangha, cradled by snow-capped peaks, Kashmiri monasteries sheltered Greek monks who adapted to alpine austerity. Thick woolen robes, cave hermitages, and silent retreats under frozen waterfalls. Travellers record inscriptions in Brahmi and Greek. May the mind that knows no winter find its spring in every dawn. Oasis viharas on the Silk Road. In Merv and Maro al-Rud, Yona monks founded small viharas beside date groves, offering shade to caravans and the Dharma to traders. Their graffiti, faint Greek letters scratched into mud brick walls, declare vows of no self far from home. I came naked, I go naked, only the Dharma follows me. Adaptation and survival. Far from Taxila's colonnades, they wove robes from camel hair, learned local dialects, and merged Greek chants with Sogdian tunes for evening prayers. Their austere practice persisted until the rise of Islam, when many integrated into local communities, transmitting the silent flame through new vessels. In those mountain caves and desert oases, the Yona Sangha became the river's headwaters, flowing into lands that still remember a whisper of Hellenic Buddhism. Though the Yona monasteries faded, their spirit endured in the murals and grottos of Central Asia. Bamiyan's cliff faces to Karakota's hidden temples, waiting for modern eyes to rediscover them. Bamiyan's fading frescoes, high above the Silk Road, colossal Buddha niches still bear decorative vine patterns traced back to Gandhāran scrolls, ghostly reminders of Greek scrollwork dancing around halos. Traces of Greek drapery folds remain in the slender bodies, as if Apollo's form once lent itself to Avalokiteśvara's compassion. Karakota's forgotten temples, excavations unearthed stucco reliefs showing donors in Hellenic togas, offering bowls to Buddhas. Inscriptions in Uyghur script referencing the Western way of peace. These galleries, buried under sand for centuries, speak of a faith that transcended empire and ethnicity. Modern rediscovery and scholarship, 20th century explorers like Aurel Stein and Giuseppe Tucci documented these sites, publishing photographs that reignited interest in Greco-Buddhist heritage. Today, digital reconstructions restore colour to the faded murals, allowing us to glimpse the vibrant dialogue between Greek form and Buddhist content. When we study those silent walls, we hear an ancient conversation, two worlds speaking through brush and chisel, inviting us to continue their inquiry. You have walked with warriors turned monks, seen Greek curls carved into Buddhist stone, heard Athenian logic echo in Gandhāran's lecture halls, and watched the Dharma wheel spin west into silent mountain caves. Their legacy was never a footnote in history. It was an invitation to dissolve borders between self and other, east and west, soldier and sage. The Yona Bhikkhus remind us that the path of awakening is richer when woven from diverse threads, when marble meets mud, when Ionic meter meets Paliverse, when cross-cultural generosity builds stupas that still stand against time's storms. There is no grand vanishing of their line, only a living current in every heart daring to step beyond origin and form. In that current, the greatest pilgrimage begins anew, your own journey into uncharted realms of compassion and insight. I am silent flame. Let this untold story ignite your own spark, so you too may carry the torch of unity across deserts of division and peaks of doubt. In the silent flame that lives between blade and petal, may you discover the lost monk within, and in doing so, find the world made whole.